Welcome to Short Circuit, aka Jason watches Transformers cartoons for the first time ever.
True.
I thought it was good to give it its appropriate title.
It's the absolute truth, let's be honest.
Now, Jason, did you know what was going on this time?
Yeah, so one note, one comment is that it was kind of felt like a normal Transformers
Oh, that's
episode.
good, isn't it? For a Transformers cartoon.
Yeah, there was good guys, bad guys, heroic Autobots, evil Decepticon. There was only one Decepticon.
Not much in the way of robots in disguise, though.
Yeah.
Absolutely not, except when Ratchet got ticketed by the police multiple times, which was his it was his take into the world of the people.
Or people just stickering him up.
Yeah, totally. This was the whole thing about this episode. It was basically the Autobots are now part of society. Let's make them go through really mundane tasks.
It didn't feel like part 3 of a 3-parter, did it?
No.
It feels like episode 1 of the start of the series after the opening mini-series almost, doesn't it? Like
It really does.
2-parter, and then this new settles into the groove.
It's so funny because I've spent the last 2 episodes of this, as we've been talking about this show, saying, oh, this is like a holistic trilogy. It's best viewed the 3 episodes together. And I totally recant that statement now, honestly.
Okay, good.
Because, yeah, totally recant it. I don't know what I was thinking. This isn't even my first rewatch. This is my second rewatch of this series overall. And I was sat there watching it going, this is completely different to the last 2, isn't it? It is like a clean break. It may as well be the first episode, as you said, Liam.
Yeah, this is the thing. And it's like between the 3 parts, they feel like very different things. Like first, they're on an asteroid. Second, big mutant bug. Third, hey, we've got friends that are giant robots that transform.
The first 2 follow in, don't they? There's a natural story. It is very much a 2-parter, and it's very obvious. One
maybe.
begins... Well, part 2 begins exactly where part 1 ends, doesn't it? Part 3 is just like a completely separate episode that is somehow shoehorned into this trilogy.
No big bugs in this one. I thought you might be a bit disappointed by that, Jason.
Yeah.
No big bugs.
Well, yeah, so I was expecting, because that had thrown me, so now I was expecting something to just kind of be completely lost. But as I said, it felt very familiar with just Autobots are heroes, saving the day, helping them put out fires, being all good and heroic.
I do think you guys are right. And I think the reason, I know I said this before, that I really like this episode. And I think the reason for that is because it feels like the most normal animated episode of the 3.
Yeah.
Like this to me is Transformers animated that you're getting right in this episode right here, because there's a lot of kind of hijinks, little jokes about the Autobots being fish out of water, that kind of stuff, but there's some good Decepticon peril as well. And Starscream, proper menacing, isn't he?
Oh, it's
Well, that
great.
chin on its own is menacing.
I
Yeah.
reckon. Absolutely.
Strong chin.
You'll have your eye out with that.
His little side smile as well that he's doing. He's so much going on in the eyes. He's just, superb. Really enjoyed him
It's
coming
very
in.
Starscream.
Yeah, I love this interpretation of this character because not only is Tom Kenny brilliant in the role, like the voice is impeccable as far as I'm concerned. We've had some good Starscreams over the years. He's one of those characters that's been kind of reinterpreted a little bit in different media, and this is top tier. I think it does the menace, it does the kind of groveling side of things. I just love that interpretation of him, that actually he is kind of a bully, but also he's actually quite intimidating, and I think that's a good mix in this cartoon.
Yeah, he's a genuine threat, but he uses his strength to pick on much smaller beings and put them in peril, doesn't he?
Right.
To get his own ends. He's very, very evil.
very, very evil.
It's that chin.
Although, I do have a slight caveat to this, and a bit of backstory here, in that we've got old Cowboy Bebop Prime going on with his lasso moment that he does quite early on in the show, which is just very random. And then Starscream, in all his evilness, gets all the humans into the train and then flies off with them. And there I'm expecting him to like fly off, but no, he just goes up to a slightly higher building and just waits there, flying around.
It's just out of reach. It's like he's putting the cookie jar, like a parent does for the kids, just putting the thing they want just on a shelf that's too high for them to reach up to.
But do you think there was a little kind of like nod of the original G1 cartoon with a like, oh, if only we could fly and get up there, And
I do like that they really kind of ground the fact that the Autobots can't fly in this versus the Decepticons. It's a total separation of their skill sets, and I think it really works well. I mean, firstly, how tall is that tower? Because when the train does go over, it's falling for about 35 minutes, let's be fair. Like, it's falling for a long time.
It's falling like Prime rolls down a hill.
Exactly.
It really is, isn't it?
I feel these are all nods that were put in there on purpose as well.
We're just watching these cartoons all together, and I think you're seeing the parallels. That's all it is.
Yeah, totally. But it was great because it did set up a really nice kind of set to kind of the peril, as you say, Liam, and then Starscream up there, and then Prime trying to work out how he could better him.
Oh, just ask the child.
Yeah, she's got all the right ideas.
She's amazing.
Forget, the fact that he's been through all the training in the elite guard and all that stuff, as he says. Just ask the small child.
With the key. Remember the key? That's the
The
important
magic
bit.
key and the tears.
Well, hang on. She's got the key. She's got the secret. What was that? Was that...
That was a song.
I know, but it was from...
I've got the secret.
Oh, that was a song, wasn't it? I was thinking of... Was it not a toy that had... I've gone off on one here. Let's dial it back to Starscream.
Wow. Just wait till Jason discovers Transformers Cybertron with the Cyber Planet keys.
Oh,
my God. Don't get him started.
Jason, spoilers. That's a different cartoon, mate.
Yeah, have you seen that one, Jason?
You know what? I'll be honest. No.
Oh, wow. Shocker.
Is it a shocker anymore?
No. We'll have to come back to that one a different day, I think.
Totally.
Yeah, but I just think it's great that they really kind of keenly establish that Optimus is a bit out of his depth here. Starscream has the upper hand for most of the fight. Even when the Autobots do get the upper hand, they kind of cut back to Starscream, who just goes absolutely ballistic and suddenly takes them down a peg as well. And I really, really like that kind of setup here because it makes the one lonely Decepticon still feel like a real peril, like he can absolutely take them all down, versus the Autobots who have to actually work together and use a bit of cunning. And it's a total shift in my mind in the typical power dynamic that we see in these cartoons, and I just think it works brilliantly.
Yeah, and there is some genuinely shocking moments in this as well. And the first one was Bumblebee getting shot. And it's like, okay, this is where we're going. We're actually going to damage Autobots to the point where they're just not functioning anymore. Even when you think about the new comic and Daniel Warren Johnson taking out Bumblebee right at the beginning, it was Starscream that took that shot as well. So there's just these bits where like Starscream is just coming in and identifying him as like that character that just is control freak.
/ psycho murderer.
Yeah, totally.
Exactly.
Exactly that. Yeah, but in a nice, friendly cartoon.
Control freak's the polite way of saying psycho murderer.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the older, the sorry Bumblebee. It's like, just reminded me of Convoy.
It's a little bit like that, actually.
Yeah.
But you're right, there are some shocking moments in this. I mean, the obvious one, of course, is that Optimus is dead again.
Fastest recorded Prime death ever.
Definitely,
surely.
yeah.
In the opening 3-parter, apparently.
Honestly.
Yeah, I did wonder that. I thought it must be the shortest time to death, but also the shortest death.
He's basically on pause. That's what they've done. He's not. I can't think he's dead. He just turns grey, and it makes a sound effect as well. I've never noticed that before.
That's prime traumatic disorder right there. The fact he goes grey.
Prime traumatic disorder.
Taking me. I missed out an S there, didn't I? But it's taking me back to the '86 movie, and again. So not only does Bumblebee get shot, but then later on Prime gets shot, and I was kind of like, oh, he's been absolutely dead.
Did you think they'd actually done it? Do you think
they
actually killed him?
I was like, they've killed him in the third episode. That's it.
It's like Sean Bean. They've just done him in. That's it.
That's it. Ain't no faceplate for you,
Some
Prime.
Game of Thrones stuff for you. There you go.
Honestly,
no one's safe.
I just had to turn the TV off and then go and lie down in the corner for a little bit. It was too much. It was trauma.
And then you came back 10 minutes later for the cliffhanger.
Well, then, thanks to our heroine who comes in with a special key, but the key has extra magic at this point, doesn't it?
That's the secret.
It has the secret, exactly. So there's me sitting there thinking, this is a really normal kind of cartoon, bit of fun, just a bit of a battle. Just start wiping people out. And I mean, guy.
It definitely goes up a notch in this episode. First of all, the first 5 minutes of this, the Autobots have never had it so good, and nor will they ever have it that good again. I mean, they're literally like rocking around Detroit, acting as superheroes, and it's not until Starscream comes in that you're like, okay, now things are really going to go off the rails.
I think it's interesting to note Animated Prime is clearly inferior to G1 Prime, because G1 Prime falls from space and hits the ground and jumps up. Just a little bit angry. This guy falls from a building and is dead.
He's not tetchy though, was he? He was pretty good about it. He didn't have an attitude.
Yeah, he was very decent in his demise.
Oh dear, yes, I seem to have fallen. He was really polite about it.
Oh, my knees.
Darn, but perhaps, the friends were the ones we made on the journey all along, that kind of... To death.
To death.
I'm very unsure about this death because I feel like it's very early and it doesn't really add anything. It's quite unnecessary. There's no real major emotional beat to it. It's not like the series doesn't hinge on it.
How could you be so heartless?
I was going to say, try telling that to Jason.
I was shaking in the corner. Oh, no. Come on. This is like 86 movie moment. This was. I was like, no. Oh, it was too
He
much.
fell off a building. He'd be fine, really.
I don't know, man. He turned grey. That's the
It
sign.
was no
Well,
spark.
he probably just had some bad energy on. That's really what happened. He just
Yeah.
had food
It
poisoning.
was just it was too much. There was a lot to take in because there was the whole, as you said earlier, the train falling off the top of the building. I was not blinking at that point, so my eyes were already watering because I wasn't blinking. and then they're just chucking around the Allspark. How dangerous is that? That is a very dangerous thing to do.
It's a health hazard. That's true.
I totally thought, and this is funny because I remember rewatching this cartoon for the second time, and for some reason, even on the third rewatch, I'd forgotten that I thought this the second time, and I thought it again for the third time. I convinced myself that it was a fake Allspark. So the whole time they're tossing it around, I'm like, well, of course it's a fake Allspark. And I don't know where I've got this from, but I've invented it both times I've rewatched this.
Okay.
And both times I've been proven wrong.
I was the same. I was like, well, obviously Prime's not stupid enough to bring the real Allspark
Oh, no,
to
he
the
is.
table here. But he is. He really is. And then he's silly enough to then start throwing it around and battling over it. And I'm just like, that's an Explodo Dojo right there. That is just going to go. That is going to just be gone, It's
Explodo Dojo.
Explodo Dojo. Exactly.
I'd ask you to spell it, but I'm fearful of the results, so I think maybe we
Work
won't
later.
do that today.
We'll do that
So
later. Exactly.
I do think it's great to see the Autobots working together, though, and the bit where they all put their hands in and all of that stuff, I think, is gold, honestly. And there's some really nice moments for all of the characters in this. I mean,
Prowl's
Prowl
face
actually
mask?
kind of, he's got his face mask, he's got his hologram power, and he kind of comes good in this one. He's a little bit less dickerish.
Yeah, I've got my note. Prowl looking kick-ass, acting kick-ass.
Is that your note?
That's my note for Prowl.
Do you have a note for Ratchet saying that he's like Cup?
Do you know what? Let's check the reference point here. Yes, I do. It's funny that Ratchet has become Cup.
You may be wondering how I thought that you were going to have a note of that, but I just noticed that you've mentioned it on the previous two.
Exactly, I had to say it.
episodes.
First 3 episodes, but grumpy old guy.
Yeah. So is he
just
like Cup? Is he
just like Cup? It just entertains me that's what they decided to do.
I do think it's quite funny as well that this episode ends in a blue sky beam, because that obviously is a major movie trope these days. And I think if you did that now, people would be majorly eye-rolling. But what is this? Back in 2007-8, it was probably a little bit ahead of the curve at that point, because you've seen blue sky beams in Avengers, in Man of Steel, in Amazing Spider-Man. There's like a dozen films where this is like the climactic battle ends with a blue sky beam.
Was animated the first to do it then?
Could have been.
Yeah.
Trendsetter.
Yeah.
Leading to a little flashing red eye on the head of old Megatron there.
Ah.
Well, that ending, that was a curveball.
Was it?
I was going to say, you didn't see that coming?
I feel like we saw it in an earlier episode.
Yeah, okay, that's true.
Like, you saw his head crash before. You knew Sundak had the head, right?
Yeah, but it was more the fact that at the end of the episode, I was like, okay, that's where it's going to finish. But then no, cuts to what's our doctor called?
Sundak.
Our favourite octogenarian, Isaac Sundak.
Yeah.
Is he 90? Something
Could be
like
40 years old, could be 90. Yeah, we're not sure.
Definitely 70.
Very good setup, though, isn't he? He's sitting in the hand of what must be Megatron's hand. Is his kind of chair
I
going
want
on?
that as my living room. I'm not going to lie. Like, that's just the interior decorating. That is off the charts. It's next level stuff, that is, with the little hand chair.
Well,
It's
yeah,
so
absolutely.
cool. Honestly,
yeah.
stick a Beast Machine Supreme Cheetah in there, and that would just be feng shui.
Game on.
Put a little futon in there,
Yeah, exactly.
Nice throw rugs on each finger.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a foosball table.
Megatron's decapitated head in the corner.
Yeah.
The thing was, though, it was like it was a funny. It wasn't a funny ending. It was actually a really dark ending because he was just basically like, "Oh no, I hope they don't find out how I've made all these robots." So I don't know. Does he know that's the biggest, evilest of the baddies ever?
Spoiler alert: he does not.
Oh right, okay, this is not going to go well then, is it? Oh dear.
Yeah.
Further spoiler alert, Jason. No, it does not go well.
Things go awry. Yeah, they don't
Things
just
go
live
a
happily
bit
ever
wrong.
after
Yeah.
from here on in.
Okay,
Yeah.
right.
Things go a bit wrong.
Those heroic Autobots have got their work cut out. Well,
and then some, I think it's fair to say.
Oh, I'm excited. This is good.
But as an opening trilogy, then, what do we think of this?
Great. Still great. Even though it doesn't work as a trilogy, I think
No, it doesn't.
works as 3 episodes of a great cartoon.
Absolutely superb. Really great characters that just kind of jump out of the screen straight away. Really nicely animated. Nice nods back to the original stuff. There's a lot going on and a lot to love about it.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. I know, having said pretty definitively twice now that this is like a 3-part mini movie, as I say, completely recant that. It's a very good 40-minute mini movie and a first episode of the cartoon. But really, really good. I absolutely love this. I think it's a banging intro to the series.
Yeah, tremendous.
Well, that's going to ultimately do it for the first 3 episodes of Animated. We will come back to this show, though, next time on Short Circuits. We're off to somewhere a little bit different, aren't we, lads?
Are we?
Yeah.
Yes, we are,
Oh,
yeah.
spoilers.
I would have been there, just a heads up.
Okay, so that's another show that you've not seen. But that's all to
Wow.
come. We'll talk about that next time.
We should rename this the Cryptic Factor. Rather than
Yeah.
We
Short
should,
Circuits.
yeah.
Roll the tape.
In the meantime, if you want to get more of us chatting away, why would you not? Then you can check out our fortnightly podcast, which is on all the things out there in the ether. Or we have a rather wonderful Patreon as well, where you can get 5 glorious tiers of stuff, including bonus episodes and the like, and a pretty popping Discord. But otherwise, do leave us a like for today's effort, and we'll catch you for the next one.